Hello, hello, everyone. Good morning.
Welcome back.
Good afternoon, wherever you're joining us. I'm here with Joyce again. So happy to have you, Joyce. And
It's good to be back.
For those of you who weren't here yesterday, we're in a special of Adobe Live that's called Here2Help. And we're actually helping a real client. She should actually probably be joining us in the chat soon. We're working to develop the branding for home goods business, and it's called Good, Better, Best, GBB. And that's what we worked on yesterday. Yesterday we worked mainly on the logo design. Today we're going to be expanding that identity, showing you guys what we did yesterday, which was a lot. Joyce actually went to bed at 3 a.m. because she is in London. So, well, thank you, Joyce, for that, by the way. Hi, guys. I see all of you coming in. Hi, and I see a lot of you that were here yesterday. I'm so happy to have you guys back. Joyce, for those of you who are just tuning in today and don't know a lot about Joyce, she's gonna be walking us through her work for a little bit. But before we do that, let me just do some housekeeping business. Today has been a really busy day, and it's gonna continue to be so. We are right now in the branding and design stream. I'm sorry, I'm having trouble seeing the screen, so let me go to that. And then for the rest of the day, we have the XD Daily Creative Challenge with Peter, the draw along with Kyle, and finishing up the day with Voodoo, who's here, and Selena Saldivar. So stay tuned for that. And today we're not gonna have just like yesterday, we're not gonna be able to jump into the daily creative challenge review just for the sake of time, because we have a lot of things to achieve for this client. But right, you guys feel free, and I think I'm talking for Joyce too, but feel free to DM us via Instagram if you guys have any questions about your work. We'll be happy to give you some feedback. My Instagram is at Onlychild Design, with only one D between child and design. And then Joyce's is jote.studio. So go follow us there. And Joyce, I'm gonna give it to you so you can tell us a little bit more about you for those of you guys who weren't here yesterday.
Yeah, so like Lina said, it's Joyce of All Trades Studio is what I go by. I kind of operate under the motto good design for good people, which just means we serve like artisans, makers, creatives, community-driven brands and organizations. And I'm based in not quite London, but in the east of England, so a bit more towards the coast. And yeah, so I've done loads of publication design. I do branding, I do brand strategy and brand coaching for smaller businesses. So that's what I do.
I love it, and it's perfect for this project.
It is so perfect for this project.
When we chose the client, I was like, this has to be Joyce. So I thought you guys were a great match for each other. So I'm happy that we were able to do this. So let me just get to my screen really.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry. Were you? No.
Oh yeah, no, I just realized. So you can also find me on Behance, Joyce of all trades, and you can see some of my projects there. So we're not going to spend much time talking through work, I think, today, because we got loads to do. But yeah, if you want to see some of my new work, go check it out and see for yourself.
Yes, go check her out. She showed us through and while that project yesterday, and it's really, really cool. So if you guys weren't here before, you are gonna have to go follow her and check out the project.
Yeah, perfect. Lina, show us what's on your screen.
Let's
into this.
Recap what we've been doing these days. Yesterday, I see a lot of you were here, so this recap might be a little boring, but for those of you who didn't have the chance to tune in yesterday, we have been working on the branding and for GBB. Yesterday we started with the logo, and we ended up presenting our client with 5 options. These are the options that we presented to her. And right after that, we jumped on a call with her, and we had a working session with the client present, which was really good. We usually, I mean, at least I usually don't do that with my clients, but for the sake of time, we needed to get this ball rolling as fast as we could. And I think it was a really good session, wasn't it, Joyce?
Yeah, we got loads done. I'm amazed how far we got.
We did get a lot done. And so right after she decided the logo, and okay, you guys can take a stab at it. Guess which logo she ended up choosing. Let's see if there's anyone that knows the answer. But so yeah, after she ended up choosing, we refined the logo. We did some changes to it, and refined the color palette and typography, and just basically the overall brand environment. And we put together some brand guidelines for her. So that's what I'm gonna show you guys now. But I'm waiting for people to guess. So there's people that guess number 1, number 3, number 5, 5, 1 or 3, 1, 5, 1, and all of you that said number 5, 1. So
yay!
This is the logo that she ended up going with. She did have some feedback about the logo. So one of her things with the original logo, which is this one, was she was worried about legibility, which it's a very, very valuable worry, because having those shapes, those overlays, do sacrifice legibility, especially in cases where maybe legibility and also usability, because maybe you need to use the logo in only one color, and this would definitely not work for that. So what we did was working on a lot of alternative logos for her to have through her branding. So one of the this is the final logo that we landed on as the main logo, and we did take a little bit of the shapes out. We increased a little bit of the contrast too, and ended up opening up that space for the GBB to be more clear. And then we ended up doing some alternative logos for her to have as well. We did this secondary logo. We did a word mark, and we did an icon for her to use whenever necessary. We kept this logo and we called it like the mother of all logos, because that was like the only, because I've never used something like that in my design. So I'm like, I don't even know how you call this. But it's basically a logo that we have for reference, because we do feel that it's important to have the 3 shapes in there, because if each of these shapes is going to represent one of the tiers that she's selling. For those of you that don't that weren't here yesterday, shop is a retail experience curated for you in tiers. So she has the good, the better, and the best tier. So it's very important to have that separation, and I think it was very important to keep the 3 shapes. So we're keeping this logo, and we're hoping to be able to incorporate it in maybe animation or web animation, so that we do have the actual 3 shapes to refer to. So that was our first step. We refined the logo, and then once the logo was refined, we jumped onto typography and color palette. So we refined the color palette, went like back and forth with some of the colors. Let me show you what we landed on. So we landed on these colors: primary palette, secondary palette. Obviously black is actually part of the primary because we do use that a lot. But after color palette, we went into typography, and we ended up deciding we're using mainly 2 fonts, which are Verdigris and Futura. And Verdigris we're using for headlines and sub-headlines. This way, Futura is for body copy, but also some of the accents. And then we're using Marisa just for when we spell good, better, best. And Nectomono just for numbers in case it's needed, because Joyce had made something really cool using that. So I didn't want to get that out. And yeah, after we like talked over all of that, we also for iconography, we decided that we were using the 3 shapes, and that each of those 3 shapes were going to represent one of the tiers. So after we talked about all of that, we put together the brand guidelines. And I'm just I think that's like just like Joyce's thing is layout. I think my thing, I love brand guidelines. Like I'm obsessed with brand guidelines, and I always like,
they're so good. I love it. I was like, oh my gosh.
But for me, it's like the one thing that I'm like, you can't have a brand without brand guidelines, and you can have a client with like, you can't let any client get away without brand guidelines. It doesn't matter if it's a big company or if it's a small company. Actually, a small company might need it even more, because they probably don't have a designer in-house, and they do need that guidance. So I'm just gonna walk you guys really quick through how I usually put together brand guidelines, and what I do after in the process, and like things that I like doing in my branding process. So always start with a cover. Obviously, you need to know who those brand guidelines are for and what that is. Then I go into a little paragraph just explaining the client what brand guidelines are. And throughout the entire guidelines, I always like to incorporate their branding, so that they also can get excited and see how their brand is gonna shape up to be. So after that little intro, I go into brand mood. And for brand mood, I usually incorporate the mood board that we ended up going with for the project. So here I incorporated this awesome stylescapes that Joyce showed us yesterday. So if you guys weren't here yesterday, you guys should go check out the replay after we're done, so you can see what a stylescape is and what things to include in there and how to present it to your client, because it's really a life-changing tool. Thank you, Joyce, for that.
You're welcome. Someone just asked Lina that they were hired to redesign a website, but they don't have brand guidelines. So how do you convince them that they need them, and also that you can do them for them? So Nikki, is that for like you do someone else's brand guidelines for something that already exists?
So she's gonna, we'll see her reply soon. But one thing that I do, and it's one important thing to take into considerations when you get a new client and they're asking you to design an asset for them, whether it is a presentation, a website, packaging, like really social media templates, anything, ask them, are we departing from brand guidelines? If they don't have brand guidelines, guess what? You can charge more, because you're not only creating that asset, you're actually creating the look for it, and you're doing, because if like you don't have anything to base your work on. So that's what I do. And I actually have a little asterisk in my not proposal, but like my package document that I sent to possible clients, that has my prices, but all the prices that I have in there are considering that I did the branding for them. And I have an asterisk that says, if you don't have brand guidelines, or if you didn't do your branding with me, then we have to take into account that time that it takes to actually land on the look. So
Nikki just said yes to, they want to offer the guidelines as a service. How would you go about it? Would you still take the job if they wouldn't go for that? Or is that kind of like prerequisite for you to even do the redesign? What would you say?
No, I would take the job. I would just take into account that you're going to be the one that has to develop that. So that it might take a little more time than if you were just going from brand guidelines.
So you would kind of almost include that in your package. You wouldn't do it without a stage where you develop the guidelines.
Yeah, I wouldn't have, like, I wouldn't necessarily develop the brand guidelines for them, because like as someone is saying, like if the company doesn't have the budget to do the brand book and the brand guidelines, I wouldn't force that on them. But I would take into account that time, that it's gonna take more time for me to develop just the identity, just like coming up with fonts, with colors, with illustration, all of that. It's going to take more time than if they already had it. So the quote that I present to them would be different, and that they had it. You don't have to force the brand guidelines into them, especially if you're not the creator of the brand, and if they're not coming to you for like a branding project. It's more a web project, but I would definitely take that into consideration, that it's gonna take you more time to do that. That's what I would say. But what would you do, Joyce?
Yeah, I was just thinking, I think similar to you, I wouldn't work on the project if they wouldn't if they're not willing to pay a bit extra for you to develop the look and feel for the website. So I would just call it, instead of brand guidelines, because you said like you haven't done the actual initial branding, you maybe call it a creative direction phase. So that's when you put everything together. So basically that will be part and parcel with, so your web package would then include the creative direction phase, and then whatever else you usually do, you just kind of tag that in and you add that price into your full price. But I think I recommend not making it like, oh, your creative direction costs this much and then the rest costs this much, because as soon as you do that, they might ask you to cut that out. So if you feel like you need that in order to do a good job, then I wouldn't give them the option to break it down into different prices. That's how I would do it. What do you think?
Yes, I would definitely take that time into it. And also one other thing to consider is, if you're making a website, you're not only doing because like I've worked with clients that have brand guidelines established, but still for web, you do need to create your own, like, and I call it quick web guidelines, because that's some like that are not included in your brand guidelines usually. So that part you have to create either way. So you in a way are creating like a little guideline for them, but but yeah, that's what I would say.
Ooh, there's a follow-up question from Voodoo. Oh.
So yeah, no, and definitely like what Elevation is saying, everyone doesn't have the option to drop a client if they don't, if they can't afford brand guidelines, and that's completely true, 100%. Like, not everyone's in the position to pick and choose clients, but I think it's also very important as designers to also value yourself and your pricing, and the moment that you start understanding what your prices and your work is worth, that's when a good client system falls into place. So I'm not saying don't take the client, take it, but let them know that it's going to take you a little bit more of time to develop that, so that you're not working for free. I think that's super important for these, because that's like one thing that we do fall into, and I think that's very common with also creative positions where we already love what we're doing, so sometimes it doesn't feel like work, and we're like, that's okay, I'll just like do this mood boarding for free, and it's well, that's good, that's what's gonna pay your bills. So
and I also think what you said about like when you can't afford to drop the client because of just income reasons, then oftentimes I think you're either in a transitional period of your business or you're in a beginning period of your business, in which case you could almost look at it, right, I'm still going to do it for you, but in your mindset will be, actually I'm going to use this as a practice ground to develop a template, a system, something that I can offer better next time and price it up. So you're actually using this job as well to gain extra value for your own process and your own business experience. And so in that sense, it gives you a different value. So I would still kind of make it work for you. But if you can't afford to drop the client, obviously go with it and just find like even a middle ground. And sometimes, like you just said, like web guidelines, if they have a smaller budget, they can't expect the world for it. So you have to give them like healthy expectations of like, look, this is what we can do for your scope and for your budget and where you want to go on, like, otherwise this is, you know, what we'd have to do. So I think it is also up to you as the expert in the conversation to give a bit of an overview of, you know, what's possible with it. And sometimes actually then clients realize, oh no, actually I do want that extra value if you explain it well, and they do go for it. But if they have no extra budget, if it's a client that you like or you believe in, and that's also, you can be like, I want to gift you the web guideline phase, I want to gift it to you and I'll do the extra. So at least, you know, you can even put it as a discount in the invoice so they can see the value that it would have been. And it's a really good exercise for you to start like putting value on your process, and not like just like, oh, it's fine, I'll just chuck it in for free, but actually communicating that you practicing putting that value on it, and the next client that comes around, you might be more confident to put your price forward. So there's give and take in that as well.
Yeah, I completely agree. Setting expectations, super important. And what you said about the like gifting and putting it as a discount, that's also a good tip, because they will see the value behind it. It's not like, okay, I'm gonna do it, I'm not gonna tell them anything and I'll just like lower my head and do it. It's more like, hey, this has like a big cost associated to it, but because I'm so awesome, I'm gonna do it. So free. Clients do value that a lot. So
yeah. And it's just wisdom as well. Like I think someone said like red flags as well. Some clients, if they're just out for the cheapest gig out there, it might get draining to keep working with them. So it's just worth kind of weighing the options. But like I said, like if you're in a space where you don't have loads of projects on and you can give that extra time, go for it.
Yes. Yeah, that's totally true. I wish we had a show called Red Flags where we just talk about.
Ooh.
And
I think we should.
maybe that's the next step. Okay, so well,
on we go.
Be you have any more questions, we will do our best to reply to those. In the meantime, I'm going to just keep walking you guys through what we included in the guidelines. After that, we include the logo. Obviously, logo is very important. We include what each logo is. This one's the main one. Then we have the iconic mark. And if you have a limited use for these, you can always give a note to the client so they know. They can always use it at their own discretion as well. Whatever your process and thing is, you can do that. Word mark, for example, here, like we have the source, the one that we liked and wanted to keep, but this one is only to be used in digital instances, so not meant for print, and it's also really fittable for animation, so we put those in there. I always like to include after the logos, I like to include the social media avatar. For this one, we have different options because we do have a lot of logos, but usually it can be just one, or you can add some options, and that's nice because the client can like put that in their head and get an idea of how that's gonna look. After that, I include usage of the logo, so minimum size, free space that it's required, and then very important, so they don't destroy what you've been working on until 3 a.m. in the morning. Logo don'ts. So
don't do that.
So just like things that they should never do to the logo, such as stretching it, rotating it, changing the dimensions of a part of the logo, changing the colors, adding things in the free space, adding drop shadows, for God's sakes. That is a big one. So,
hey, Lina, question. How do you determine your minimum size?
To tell you the truth, I usually like do the same size around like each of, like all of my logos have like the same kind, and then I just like take whatever part of the logo I see fits best to determine size. So for example, why is this not, what do I have in here? Okay, so for instance, I have the logo here, and I know that I want a space around, like I in my head, and I know kind of the size that's fittable for that. And then what I do is I take one part of the logo and I'm like, okay, so is this gonna be a good, like, does it fit? Like, because obviously when I start, I don't, maybe it's like, I don't have it here, so I say, okay, so I kind of want to achieve this size in between things, right? Which is the size of these, done like this. So I know that's kind of the size that I want for this logo. So I eyeball it first, and then I see what element of my logo fits that size, if there's one. Sometimes there's not. So sometimes if you have a logo that has smaller elements, you have to stack them. So let's say our G was smaller, but you still want to achieve that size. You're like, okay, it's the space in here is the space of 2 G's stacked. And you know that that's what you want to go for. But I usually first eyeballing it, like knowing what the ideal clear space behind it is, and then finding what elements of the logo for reference can achieve that size, either on their own or stacked, or stacked. So that's how I do it. Do you have another way of doing it?
No, I do it the same way as well. Because it's really easy then for the client, because they have the G. Well, in this, like Daphne already has the GBB, so then she doesn't need to like measure anything else. She can use the logo itself to figure out the negative space around it. So I think that's why it's really good. I was just wondering more about like your minimum size on the other, like the one next to it. Like, how do you what do you look out for like the minimum size of the logo?
For that one, also, I take a ruler and I eyeball it. Like, I see with the ruler, because sometimes, like, this one actually has a very big minimum size because it's a stacked logo. So, like,
Yeah.
So it's 1 inch. But I take a ruler and then I see, like, eyeball it and see what would work on that.
Perfect.
Yes. And then what else? Let's see. So after logo, we go into color palette, and we just for this one we just added the hex codes, but you can add hex codes, RGB, CMYK, Pantone values, anything that it's fittable for your client. Also, you can name the colors, a name that is related to the brand, or do some fun things around that too. We did not do that because we were too tired.
Yes. And it kind of makes sense because she's starting out digital, and like this is kind of starting out pack. So digital is where it's at for her. So hex codes is what we need.
Yes.
Keeping the main thing.
Typography. Then we go into typography again, choosing all of the fonts that you're going to be using. Iconography, if the brand adapts to that, like if the brand needs that, you can add that. Some brands might not need that. Photography or photography style. So yesterday we talked about the photography style for this, so we just translated that into our brand guidelines. And then if you have any photographic treatment, whether it is just in photo editing or maybe a graphic treatment that you like to apply to photography, you can add that too. We have this one in here. And then I like to include, and this usually is for clients that end up doing other assets with you, but a design in use section where you, or you can also just mock up some things so the client can get an idea and of how these guidelines would translate to some design. So this is how it would translate to the website look. And you see how we used the logo, we used the fonts that were in there. We were also using color to, well, this is for the mock-up, but still. So
yeah, everything is nicely color coded throughout the whole document.
Yes. And then finally, very important to always include who the main contact at the brand that you're working with is, so that anyone working with these guidelines can refer to them as a main point of contact. So that's it on brand guidelines. Oh, okay.
Yes, important. Very important.
Shall we get to design stuff or what? And more like,
yeah, I think it's time.
Yes. So sorry it took us so long to show you guys what we worked on last night, but this is it. And now we're jumping onto some new cool assets for today. We're gonna be doing some packaging, and Joyce, you wanna take that over?
Yeah, so I brought something. It is like school. Someone said it's like school. It is like school because I brought show and tell. So this is like a design piece that I kept, and we were talking about it, and we thought, let's make it a unboxing experience that we can design. So Lina's going to be making some, and I'm going to be making some of it today. So this is a brand, I think it's from Sweden. It's called Estrid. It's actually for razors. But yeah, so you can see the tape has got their messaging on it, handled with self-care, because their brand messaging is all about self-care. So the cool thing is when you then do open the box, it's colored inside, and you have more messaging when you open the box, which is great. So especially in 2020, when a lot of it is online shopping, I think boxes and like the way it's packaged is really crucial. And so you can see even like when you're done with it, at the bottom there's a bit more branding going on. And then in the box, there was this pack. And again, you can see their logo up here, the logo colors, logo fonts, their messaging again, just like cool little type treatments. And then I open it. And this is like over top. Not everything I've ordered from a brand has been this design, but this is a great example. So we've got more going on in here. And then, yeah, also their contact and like get in touch with us. And then again, like the pouch is all paper, so it's all recyclable because that's another one of their values. Logo at the front, more messaging at the back. I like their tone as well. Everything sounds really sassy and cool, and it's just a really good example for a brand. So in that pack there was more. And it's also branded. I mean, you don't have to do all of this. They clearly just, so there's how to take care of your razor. There's this little take care sheet. I guess this is like a sticker or like a little fridge magnet-y type of like piece of collateral. This was the packaging for one of the bits. Again, like you can just see like everything is like considered. The type, the brand guidelines are everywhere over this, and then those actual stickers, and then the book. So I think because this is a subscription-based product, it makes sense that your welcome pack is this designed and like gives you that much sense of the brand, because they want you to connect with the brand, they want you to buy into the brand and keep going with them and like stick on the journey with them. So they really made a point about like, this is us and welcome. And I think it's a really nice experience too. There's a real sense of it's a gift when you open it, you know, there's like a delightful unpacking in it. But anyways, we're not going to do that much, but this is a great like extreme example of thinking about the unboxing experience. What we're going to do is I've been thinking about the kind of collector side of GBB. So like every piece is curated. It's almost like a piece of art. Everything that you do is that GBB does, not what you do. Sorry. Everything that GBB does is really artistic, and just the interior design, like knowledge and everything goes into it. So we were thinking, let's make a really cool little postcard pack that comes with your order. And one of the postcards is going to be about an artist collector's kind of piece, and the other one's like a standard welcome one that's going to be the same for everyone. And then Lina, you're going to be working on some other packaging stuff, so tell us about that.
Yes, I will be doing tissue paper. So the tissue paper to wrap to like whatever she's selling. So we're going to be doing that today, and we'll see how it comes out.
Yes, let's do it. Okay, so let's hop into my screen. So this is from yesterday night. All our mock-ups. There was some more treatments and stuff that we suggested to Daphne to use later. But I'm just having this open. I'm going to jump into InDesign today. But I wanted to have this open so I can grab all the assets and stuff and go over there. But actually, we're going to start with the envelope, and we're going to do that in Photoshop because it's more of a mock-up. So I found this in Adobe stock, which is awesome. And I just adjusted the colors of it to be a bit more on brand for us. So it's a bit of a lighter craft paper texture and stuff. I think it was great at the beginning. And so first of all, I thought we could maybe change the color of this. Daphne, what do you think? Yeah, Daphne, what do you think? Lina, what do you think? What color should we go for in the circle? I feel like Daphne's still like involved in our process now. Keep switching between you guys.
You want to try the terracotta and see?
Yeah, okay, let's go for it. So
maybe, let's see.
Let me just, I think I've got your brand guidelines open as well, so I can just grab them from there.
Yes, you also have our library now.
Oh, I do, yeah, of course.
We didn't talk over those, but if we have time a little bit while you design, I can jump on and tell the audience that, because that's a trick that I learned actually from Julia, and it's changed the way I work. So we'll do that further on the episode, so you guys can leave until
I mean, you can kind of see that here. So if I just click this, ta-da! Okay, so that was the metal, and now I just need to find the circles. There we go. What do you think?
I like it. It does look a bit more like Westerny, I would say.
Yeah. Okay, let me try something else. How about this? Also, you can manipulate, I believe, the brightness of that particular area. So if I just brighten it up a bit, it might bring more of the color through. Oh, sorry, guys. There we go. No. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
How about this?
I think I like the more neutral
more
neutral one for this brand, as opposed as the like.
Yeah, should we just keep it?
But what do you think?
Yeah, I think it doesn't need it, because I think what I'm gonna do instead is I'm gonna put some pattern on the front of this, I think, because that'd be cool. So I really like in the brand guidelines this, like how this sits at the front. So I'm gonna just grab this. Oops, that was a bit too. Hang on, that was too soon. That was a bit trigger happy. Okay, so let's just see.
And
there we go.
Elevation saying that that's a really nice mock-up. He actually thought it was a real envelope at first. Yeah, it's really good. You can find this one at Adobe stock, and just make sure that when you do your search, click on templates so that you know it's a mock-up, and check that it's a PSD, because that has happened to me where I download something that I thought was a mock-up, but it was an image. So hopefully that doesn't happen to you.
Yeah, it's tricky, and then you have to do it yourself, which it's not impossible, but
not impossible.
It just takes up a lot of time. Yeah, it takes up a lot of time. So let me just, so this is our brand font. Let's make it, oh, I think we have a very particular black for this. So if I just,
do you want me to?
No, we've got the library. I should be using this. Here we go. Right, so Lina had this cool idea of not just doing any kind of black, but like actually branding the black as well. Oh, this is, I'm gonna grab it from here because it seems doesn't like me today. There we go. Hex code. Yeah, sorry. For some reason, my this buffers a lot when I'm in Photoshop. I never have the problem with any other software. That's okay. It's got a quirk. This computer has done very well for its age.
I am reading Felix's comment, and I think so I think we should talk about this.
Yeah, go for it.
He's saying the design community has had a resurgence since this virus hit humanity. We're valuable. Ooh. People love what we do. Design improves and saves lives. And I absolutely agree with you, Felix. I think right now, like, we're going through so many changes and through so many things, and design has had a role in it all, like, and not only design, but like design thinking. And we're in a point of humanity where we like no one has been like this before. So creative thinking, it's super important for sure. But also as designers, like graphic designers, I don't know about you, Joyce, but since this thing hit, my
Mm,
like I've gotten more business than ever because I feel like a lot of people are trying to reinvent themselves and
yeah.
looking for solutions. And also like some brands just need to like either bump their web presence because right now they're not able to open their actual store anymore or things like that. But also people that have been in a situation where they have to change what they're doing, and
Yeah.
like need to change careers or like rebrand themselves. And it's been and like I think designers are one of the professions that have gotten very busy with this new shift. What do you think, Joyce? Is that
No, yeah, I agree. I think someone said that like a crisis can always be a catalyst, and I think creatives specifically, I've seen that a lot. I've seen a lot of new collaboration coming out as well. Um, like I've spoken to designers online that I never really had connections with before, other creatives. Some of my most exciting work actually happened in the last 6 months. Through I think, yeah, people are also kind of more aware of each other's humanity, and there's a connection that happens through that. And I think whenever there's connection, creativity flourishes as well. So I think there was that as well, like collaborations. I mean, this happened because of COVID. We're getting to help businesses like new ideas because of just the shift that we're in. And obviously there's a lot of tension and tragedy and trauma as well that's come with it. But I think it's good that at least creatives are rising to the occasion, like, be it social justice, be it helping people with their businesses when they're struggling, all those stuff. So yeah, I think people realizing like that design is a genuine, like, influential job. I was talking about this earlier. Yeah, well, we're not just like doing pretty things. We can influence thought, and we can encourage specific behaviors. So I love all the really cool design that's coming out from like more sustainable brands and stuff. So I just love the creativity as well that they put behind it. So yeah, I definitely think there is that as well. And if it's already going to be this difficult, and just like the whole year was a bit crazy, at least if we can make the best of it, I think.
Yeah. And also like realizing that we have, like, as Felix was saying, like we have power. Like we might not be there in the front lines, we're not nurses or doctors, but we
Yeah,
can.
for sure.
And that's where this special Here to Help actually came from, when realizing like we can make a difference as designers and we can help people. We might not be able to save lives in like the actual medical way,
Yeah.
or save the economy in like some people could do, but we have a small power, and we can make a small change in everyone's life, and whether it's one person, whether it's Daphne, like
Yeah.
I think it's a great time to be putting your work for good use, if you have the bandwidth to do that.
Yeah, for sure. And everything's gone so digital too. So I find like for freelancers as well, this is a really good time to get momentum, because I think, I don't know, like, when you work from home, people kind of used to look at you being like, oh, you weird. Like, where's your office? And now everyone's like, oh, you're like, I was prepared for this. I've learned how to work from home. So I think there's also that shift in perception for people. So I really like this.
I love it.
So do you think
a house.
Yeah, so I'm thinking like the postcards could then be inside of this. And I think I like it. So elevating your everyday is one of Daphne's taglines, so to speak. It's not a so she had taglines for us to like advertise, and this is more of a tagline for like general use, I think. Because once they've bought the product, you don't want to be saying like, oh, we have these solutions for you, like, because they've already bought it, so you don't want to like overstate the case. So this makes more sense. So I think, yeah, I'm really happy with this. Daphne, what do you think? Do you think it's in line with our brand guidelines?
Daphne or Lina?
Yeah, well, let's see. She is commenting.
Hey, we're on our way to make it happen.
Yeah, she is spreading the word about GBV. But yeah. Lina, what do you think?
Guys should go follow her at GBV Home on Instagram, so you guys can actually see how this brand applies in a couple weeks, or yes, a couple weeks, let's say.
Yeah,
I love it. I think it's on point and
perfect.
It makes you excited. It's not like it's still minimalist and like classy, but there's something special in there.
Yeah, let's keep this. Okay, I was just thinking as I was putting that pattern on, like we've got a bigger pattern as well that I could use, but I might use that on her general postcard instead, which I'm gonna leave this here. I'm happy with this. I think is really classy. Also, I think the way the print sits, how that sits on the print, and you can see the texture through it, also kind of fits our original mood boards. That like textured look that goes with it all.
Yeah, so. I love it. If you want to save that image, or put it into our library, I can actually to our.
How can you add images? I've never. No, let's not take it to right now.
That's true, because I've only added from Illustrator.
I've only added like elements so far. I've never added a whole image, a JPEG. But I'll send it to you in a bit.
To Dropbox. Or yeah. Don't even worry about it. We'll do it later.
Yeah, I'll send it to you in a bit. So cool. I'm happy with this. This is kind of where this is gonna sit. Also, one option actually. Let's do a little vote. There is this. Let's vote. There we go. Okay, so this is what I've got at the moment. This is version 1, and now I'm gonna drag in. This is so handy. I love our little library. This is amazing. My life has been changed.
Daphne saying she loves this. So, yes.
Yay!
Saying it's eye candy.
This is great. This it's like real-time feedback. Is great. So, and the other one would be to have like the more label-y one at the back.
So between this one or the main logo, you mean?
So yeah, so either this, so this version here, or this.
I'm thinking, how would that, I don't even know if that's possible, but the second option, how would that look in like between, how can I show you? Like,
well, on the
middle, but like in like in one of the creases of the thing. So it looks more like a stamp kind of thing.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so over here.
That.
Yeah, let's try that. Why not? This is actually really fun. I love being able to collaborate like this. And like,
right?
Kind of like back and forth.
So much fun.
So fun. Oh, almost. So that would be more of a stamp. That's cool. It's a different idea. What do we think? This is 1 and this is number 2. Shall we vote on that? This is 2.
Yes. Okay.
The other one's 1.
So 2 is this one?
2 is the colorful one, and then 1 is the stamp.
So guys, vote. Do you like colorful or stamp?
On the back.
On the back. And
Also,
Daphne, can you vote too, please? Because we need your input.
and Daphne also was saying like how she really likes that front and how she's thinking about using it without even the logo or anything. And she asked if that's weird. I don't think it is actually. I think someone, I don't remember who it was, but they said your brand identity needs to work even if you cover up your logo. Like someone should still recognize what brand it is. And I think there's a lot of truth in that. And in that sense, the fact that you want to show the front without even showing the logo tells us that the brand's really coming together, because it still feels like GBB without saying GBB. So that's great. Also, we're using the icon, so.
Sorry.
Ooh, stamp.
Reading, stamp. So yeah.
Unanimous.
I think everyone likes the stamp.
Stamp will be easy to produce. Ooh, you could even hand stamp it if you really want to.
That would be cool.
Okay, well,
stamp
the
it.
People have spoken. Let's do that. Okay, I'm gonna save that as version 2. There we go. Okay, cool. So now we have an envelope for our goodies. And I'm gonna close this because bye Photoshop.
I love it. Daphne was like, I think colorful version. She's like, okay, let's do stamp.
Been over. Outvoted. Brutal. Oh. I think, yeah, because also print considerations, talking about that, using color on purpose, because when you print black and white, you can get a cheaper deal. Sometimes, like when you print in big quantities, because if one side is all black, then you've got that going for you as well. So that's something to consider. Yeah. So the next thing I'm thinking is to make Daphne's card, her welcome card. So the GBB welcome card, I think, needs something from what we discussed yesterday, something to say thank you for shopping with us. And then, if you've got any problems with it, please reach out to us at this and this email or whatever the contact is. And then social media and stuff, I recommend as well. Because, they want to connect with you, be like, show us what you got, that kind of stuff. So also a great way to like get them involved with your community. So we're now in InDesign, which is my happy place.
Your home.
Well, my home. I live in here. So I'm just gonna give it some bleed. What's your standard bleed in inches? Because in Europe we obviously use millimeters.
0.125.
Oh, hang on, look. 0.125.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect. Oh, that was the wrong. Let me just do this again. There we go. 125. Cool. There we go. Okay, where's my library gone? How are you doing on your end, Lina?
Bad. I haven't started.
You haven't started? I see. Someone likes a bit of pressure.
Sorry. It was like...
CC libraries. For some reason, it's called CC libraries. Right. Okay. Okay, so I think that sandy color, is that, Daphne, is that what you kind of, in the brand guidelines, what did you use for that general background color?
For the background color in the brand guidelines, that's the
is it the lighter version? I think
it's
that one.
EFE6DB.
Okay, let's see. Yeah, perfect.
DB. Okay, perfect.
Okay, so look that. I'm just gonna space this out first. I think that's probably gonna be our main body copy. So oftentimes when I work on projects like a magazine or something, I have to design the layouts before we have the text. So I like working with just placeholder copy. That saves me a lot of the times. And then I have a general gist of like what the article's about or something, and then I mock it up without having the full text, and then I give the writer like, this is how many words you've got right for that. So we're kind of doing that here right now.
It's perfect. That's the ideal way of designing, you guys. You tell the client what they should write.
Yes. So because these headlines were the paragraph styles and stuff were designed for the brand guidelines, they're quite large for a print job. So I'm just going to make new styles out of this. I'm going to save them all as paragraph styles when I'm done. So then Daphne can just go in and like change text.
I agree.
It's probably the easiest.
Yeah, and that's always really hard on brand guidelines. Like sometimes I have clients ask me like, can you give us the size the type should be? I'm like, I cannot give you the size the type should be. Like, what are you using that type for? Are you designing a poster? Are you designing a business card? Are you designing a website? That's like really, it's really hard to tell someone what size, like what the established size.
Yeah, totally.
Should be. I'm like, yeah, no, that's not.
Web is so different from print. Even like your line height and stuff changes so much as soon as you go from print to web. So definitely worth doing it all separately.
I love how David is telling us it's pretty ballsy to design with the client watching. Dude, you have no idea. It's
sorry, what's ballsy?
Ballsy.
To do it with the client. I just found the comment.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it is. It's a lot of pressure. I'm not gonna lie. But Daphne's been amazing. I mean, I think we've been saying that yesterday because she's a designer herself. There's a lot of common language around design and stuff that we could use. I think it would be harder with a client who doesn't really do creative stuff as a day-to-day job, because then that's almost like a whole learning curve in itself and it's stressful enough as it is. So if they don't really know what to call certain things, then you've got like a whole language barrier as well on top of everything else.
No, yeah, it's been great. Last night we were doing this same thing, but we were like both working on our computers with Daphne watching and like just giving things back and forth, and that's like the only reason why we were able to complete these brand guidelines, because otherwise it takes a lot of time for like them to review and see one version, and then they don't like the color, let's do another version. But yesterday everything was immediate feedback, so that was very easy.
Yeah, it was good. I think I'm gonna just stick with the tagline for now, and then obviously once it goes into production, I'm sure there will be some copy and messaging and stuff around this as well. But obviously we're not doing messaging here. We're the identity designers, so I am not going to venture there today. I do like to sometimes I just make something up just to like get the right amount of words
Yeah, so it's not lorem or I like edit the lorem. So I'm like, oh, this word is too long.
Yeah.
Get here.
I'm just gonna make it look pretty while we're at it.
Word.
So, and then we said, I mean, maybe this goes up here for once. But yeah, it is already looking quite cohesive. Like everything that we've been doing looks kind of like part of the same brand. So that's a great sign. Actually, I know it's just a little flyer, but great, guys.
So guys, in the chat, tell us what your favorite assets to design for brands is. Like once you've completed a branding, the branding part of a project, what's the next thing that you like to do for them? Is it layout and like publication, like Joyce? Or do you like, I love doing social media templates. I love doing, I think social media templates is my favorite. I also like doing a lot of presentation design.
Ooh.
That's like one thing that not a lot of people love doing. I've realized, but I actually really like that. I think those are my top two. What is your top? Because I generalized, but what's your top thing to do, Joyce? I said publication because that's what I've heard.
Yeah, social media probably as well, just because it's kind of like the same principle as publications but online. Someone just asked about italics, when to use them. So I'm using italics here because there wasn't a brand guidelines. So maybe Lina, you want to say something about that? But I wouldn't use it for long texts usually. I would use it for shorter amounts, or if you want to highlight, like emphasize something. That would be my take on it, because it is a bit harder to read than this body copy. So this is our body copy here.
Yes, I agree. So the way that I was envisioning it for this brand is either for like sub headlines sub headlines, like if you go to up to the text page, no, to the or for highlights, like here in the, well, this is a link, but if you want to like you're using it in your everyday, I think that's a great use for italics or sub headlines too. So let's see what people like to design. Voodoo likes to do character design. That's
cool.
Definitely something I don't know how to do.
Yeah, not something we offer.
An illustration. Felix hates italics. When he sees them, he goes wild. I am
so sorry. You prefer Comic Sans? No, they are like Comic Sans. Okay.
Oh my god, no, I love italics.
No, I think, look, guys, quick history lesson about italics. This one, because it's based on like a more classic old italic font, I think it's quite interesting. It has its own personality. I think sometimes, especially like I wouldn't use Futura in italics unless it was for like a functional reason, just because it doesn't do much for me. But with this, you get a lot of really beautiful shape, and also cheating. But when you have like less space, the italics sometimes there's more condensed and you get more content into it. So there's a purpose. There's a space for it. I like them. But you kind of, oh, I see. I've just got given an email address. support@gbv.design. Ooh, okay. Let's do that.
So tell us, guys, do you like italics or do you love italics? Do you like them like Felix?
I feel like we just hit like a tender subject here. No, what am I doing?
or what's like the thing that you hate the most about typography? Obviously, we all have Comic Sans in common. Like, no need to say that. But tell us what's the things you hate about typography are. Do you have any that you hate, Joyce?
Ooh, this feels like a loaded question.
I know.
I think you gotta be really careful to say. I think
pressure.
yeah. No, I think legibility, and someone like squishes the type in a way that you just can't read it anymore. It hurts the eyes. I'm quite lenient with stuff at this point. Like, not that I have my own way of doing it and like a certain way that I go about it, but I can appreciate different approaches to it. But when it becomes hard to read, when it's like insanely tightly tracked and one letter blends into the next, it really hurts my eyes. I don't like it. And this is not something like a hate thing, but I find it hilarious when you walk down like some dodgy road and there's these like kebab shops and stuff, and they've got like the worst kerning in the world, like words are like all over the place. It's really funny, but I kind of had grown to like appreciate as a quirk of like little dingy places. So yeah, but if I'd see it in like an expensive design job, I'd be like, oh, that's not good. Not good. Let's just take that.
Papyrus. Yeah, papyrus sucks too. Comic Sans.
Wasn't papyrus used for a really famous film? Was it Avatar?
Was it? I don't know.
No.
You guys know?
Yes, I think so. Does anyone know in the chat?
Let us know.
It was good enough for Avatar. There we go. Yeah, we do all know.
My God.
See, I personally, I think the longer I've worked with fonts, the less hate I have towards any particular one. I can appreciate them in like their intended context. So you're gonna kill me for this, but even Comic Sans, I don't really care about it that much. I wouldn't use it. But it was originally designed for like a lower screen resolution and etc. So there was actually a functional reason why it looked the way it did. That does not mean that we need to use it now. We're definitely not going to be using it for this project. But yeah, there was a time and space. It's really interesting. Typography has so many like historic connotations. Like even like the beginning of typography, the way they let the serifs and everything, that was because of the what's that called in English, like the stone carving, like, you know, the way they like got the letters into the stone, and so it made more sense to have those serifs, I believe. So yeah, don't test me on my knowledge right now because I'm like designing and talking at the same time.
What year was that?
But yeah, I think design is all about putting the right things in the right context.
Yes, and people are also saying in the chat, like maybe Comic Sans wouldn't suck so much the way they use it.
Yeah, well, if anyone's got a project where they actually make Comic Sans work in a way that like people respect, kudos to them. That might be a challenge, like a typography challenge. Make Comic Sans.
If you guys have ever used Comic Sans in a project and you have that project uploaded to Behance, put the link in there so we can check it out.
Yeah, please.
And defend.
This can be the daily challenge, or papyrus. Give it some love. Okay. Lina, let's switch to your screen so I can.
Okay, let me
switch it up a bit over here.
So don't get out yet because I'm gonna need to share mine before you stop sharing yours. Okay. Okay. So while Joyce is
fun
work, I'm just arranging this into a pattern for a tissue paper. And I mean, there's not much to it, so I'm not gonna bore you with what I'm doing because I'm literally like moving shapes around. I feel like my toddler right now, and just finding a way of for them to fit well. But I wanted to show you guys the secret that we that we were talking about at the beginning of the episode, which has been making our workflow so much easier. And okay, so one thing that I do right after I'm done with the guidelines and the branding is locked is I start working on a library and this library can be for yourself. You can also share this with your clients. It's going to be very valuable to them. And if you're collaborating with someone like we are right now with Joyce, you can also share that with your other designers. So here we already created a library here, and the way that you can do that is accessing your library through your Windows panel, library, and then this window is gonna open up and you're gonna get your little library here. You can name that with the name of the project that you're working on, and then you can share this library. And the way that you share these is you add a person, the person that you want to be able to open it. You have to make sure that the email that you're using is the same email that they're using to access Adobe, so that they're able to open this up in their programs as well. So what can you put in your library? You can literally put everything in there. You can add your color palette. You can add icons. You can add the logos. You can add typography. For typography, you can go as far as adding character style, paragraph styles. So that comes really handy if you're doing like a book or something that does require a lot of text editing. And then you also can add entire assets. For example, here, like these mock-up that we had, this is an entire asset that was added on the library as it was. So it's great when you're collaborating with someone, because like yesterday when we were working, I was working on the brand guidelines and Joyce was working on the website mock-ups simultaneously. And then once she finished, she just added that into our brand guidelines and I could just like put it in here. So it's super handy. I really recommend doing these for your own workflow, but also for your client work. If you guys want to also give them a really good added value, it's like, hey, I'm sharing with you this library where you can just get all of the assets directly from Illustrator. So and the way that you do this to add an asset, so make sure that the asset that you want to add is, first of all, like if you're doing a logo, always make sure that the logo is outlined. So because if your client or the person that you're collaborating doesn't have the fonts, you're screwed. So always outline that. So select the logo, object, expand. This one it's already expanded, but sometimes you do have to click 2 times until it expands the way it needs to. But once it's expanded, you can group Command G, and you go to this little plus sign in the libraries, and then something's gonna pull up. This one, because it has multiple colors, it's only giving me the option of doing the graphics, so that's perfect because that's what I want. So I will select it, and you can name it, and then you can do super cool logo. Kidding. And then that's gonna be there, named as it should be. You can also go and create groups between your library, and that's how I created these groups. I have the color palette, the icons, the logo, so it's all easy and ready to go there. So um that's our library trick for you guys. It's super helpful. Um, with color palettes too, you can, let's say you have this shape, you have 3 colors in this palette, so you go here to your swatches and you select new color group, and that's how, and let's say I name it GBB. So those 3 colors, the way that I add them into the library is you select the color group and then go to add selected swatches and color groups to my current library. And there it is. It's going to be here. It's also going to show up in Adobe colors if you access them through there. So it's super handy, and it's definitely changed the way I work.
And so good.
It helps a lot. So that's one trick I wanted to show you guys. Tell us in the comments if you use libraries in your work, if you have any other tricks about libraries, because like I'm telling you, I did not learn this a long time ago. I actually learned this through Julia. Thank you, Julia. And it wasn't a long ago. It was it was on episode 1 of Here2Help. So this was like 3 months ago only, and it has definitely changed the way I work. So if you guys have any other tricks about libraries, or if you know anything else that you want to share with us, please do so. We'll really appreciate it. And oh, I got off of my chat. I'm sorry. No.
The typography debate is still raging.
Okay. It is. Uses libraries. I would like to use them more though. Yeah. I know. I hear you, David. I don't collaborate as much as I wish I did. And that's why I also love Here2Help, because I get to collaborate with other designers, and it's so valuable. I think like I learn more than everyone else in the Here2Help episodes, because I am always learning from the guest designers so many things. And I think like my favorite thing is seeing the workflow that everyone has, like different workflows and different ways they have of presenting things or of building things, like the stylescapes that you showed me, Joyce. That's really good. Edina in the last episode, if you guys haven't seen it, she has also like a wonderful way of putting mood boards together. So it's super valuable to collaborate with people when you get a chance, even if we don't a lot as lonely designers.
I mean, there's no reason why you can't reach out to someone that you're already kind of friends with on Instagram, for example, who's also a designer, and you can have a similar, like an aesthetic that works well together, and just reach out to them and ask them if they want to do a little like self-initiated project with you.
That's true. That's really true. What would be your dream project to work on, Joyce?
Ooh. I don't know. There's so many like cool things. I mean, right now it's probably not very relevant, but like something like a hotel where you can like create the whole experience, like a boutique hotel. That'd be cool, wouldn't it?
Yes. That I was just thinking yesterday of what I would like to work on, like as a dream project, and I was thinking a boutique hotel. I might have to move to the beach and open my hotel.
Just do it yourself. Yeah.
We'll work on the branding together, Joyce.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm in. see. So Lina, is this going to be a repeating pattern that you're making at the moment?
It's not a repeating pattern right now. I just made it to fit the size of the tissue paper, because so what I did, I went in and I looked for the size that, and this I do sometimes to make sure that it's gonna be easy on me and the client. So I go and research the company that can possibly print it, and that's like that it's good and competitive prices and all of that. And then I see what their options are, and then I create from there. So I'm taking it from their size. So my entire board, it's already 30 by 20, which is the size of the vendor that I'm thinking of going for these, which is also actually where I got my mock-ups. So I will show you guys that too in a second. Actually, let me do that right now.
I love a mock-up. It just makes it so real, so quick.
Right. Let's see, which one should we use, Joyce? I have one that's just plain paper, one that this one's nice because we can see the sticker as well. This one also has a sticker.
Yeah, it'd be cool to have one that's like wrapped and one that's flat out. I mean, what do people think?
Start with this one. Oh, David, you're so sweet. I'm really glad that you had fun watching that episode, and hopefully you're getting the same value from this one. Let's see. Oh yeah, that's true. This could be a wallpaper for her future store whenever she outgrows the online retail experience.
That'd be cool.
Do her new shop. Let's see. So guys, tell us in the comments what would be your dream project to work on. Like, what's the optimal client that you would want to collaborate with? Felix, I would definitely pick Illustrator forever and ever and ever. Like, if I could, I would just stay on Illustrator for every single project. I'm not kidding. Like, I once did an entire book in Illustrator. So,
that's impressive.
Probably hates me.
I'm like, I could not do that. Could not do it. What kind of book was it?
It was, well, to my defense, it was a very, very, very illustration driven.
Okay.
Here,
fair enough,
guys. I'll show it to you guys in a sec.
Oh, this is exciting.
So it's this one. So I have an excuse because it's very, very illustration heavy, but it's a book that it's where it has stretches for the office. So it's for a brand that's called Mondays, and they focus around like office wellness. So everything is around like keeping healthy at work. So one of the ways that they do that is like taking breaks, stretching. So this is actually a guide for those things. And the brief for these was they wanted it to look like a kid's book. So very illustration heavy, and it's actually like printed as a kid's book. It's like thick cardboard. And so yeah, this entire book I designed in Illustrator, and then the printer was like, "You're gonna submit InDesign files for that, aren't you?" I'm like, "Oh, okay." I'll do everything again. but yeah, that's definitely my favorite program. And Joyce's happy places in design.
Yep. It's because I studied publication design first. So everything was new. So there's so much, I'm just gonna do it like this. So I'm gonna switch into the art thing, like art card, I think soon.
Okay.
I've got some designs that we can look at.
To you?
Yeah, should we hop on my screen?
Yeah.
And we'll see what people prefer. So that one matches the outside of the car.
Good. Let's see.
So here we go. So that was like the initial idea. Obviously, this is all kind of like first drafts for typography. And then I started playing around with the shapes and aligning type with it. But I think this is probably going to be too small. But there's something in that idea of like how the shapes sit. I don't want the type to fit around that. And then that was like the last one. Which one do you think will be worth
Can I see the
developing?
Okay, I really like the first one. I feel like the first one is like, I like that you only have the shapes in one side because it gives like, more space to breathe. But
yeah, for sure.
That one I love. And let me see the ones down there. That one is cute. Definitely. Okay, so my choice is the same as you have it. Number 1, I like the best. Then 2, and then number 3. And
so in the 6.
Oh no.
Perfect.
Yeah. So that one's I really like the space around it and how it breathes. But which one? And tell us, guys, in the comments, which one do you guys like?
1 and 2. 1 and 2. So I guess that's that one and that one. So let's just
But let's hear from Daphne since she
that
it says 1.
1. Okay, 1. Let's just so I've taken 1 again, and I'm just gonna tidy this here because this was a big debate, wasn't it? Italics, not italics. Daphne, or actually Lina, do you think we should go with this like in italics? Was that your intention with the guidelines that we made yesterday, or was that just for like main subheadings?
Yeah, it was more for main subheadings.
So this will be Futura.
That I would usually put in Futura.
Okay.
Maybe but I actually like the punch that the other one gave, the italic. I don't know what, maybe
it's like a contrast, isn't it?
Yeah, there was a little bit more. It could look a bit more special to me.
Yeah. As long as it's like a short paragraph and there's not too much. There we go.
Yeah, I kind of like that. Maybe a tiny. What font size is that?
Yeah, that's probably too small. Oh, it doesn't even show. Probably do it.
So small it doesn't even show.
So small.
Oh, it's at 9.
Okay. Futura is 9. This is now 9.
Yeah.
That's 9.
What would yeah, I would either keep it like at least 8. So
yeah, so we are 9, so we're in a safe zone. I think it'd be quite cool if like the text can wrap around this curve here as well.
Yeah. Well, now you have it doing that.
No. Bigger is not always better. The only thing is I would like to have the logo on here somehow, as it is like the branded introduction. But it's hard to have this and the colored logo, I'd say.
Yeah,
because there's a lot going on now.
Yeah, I even think that this get away without using the logo, because this is gonna come in a package that already has the logo, right?
Yeah, so we don't really need that, and this here probably would change as well. We're just using this text because we know that that's something that Daphne uses. But having said that, it might just, because it's more of a headline and not necessarily that specific tagline, it might sit more like that. And then all we need is
Oh, Nikki's leaving us. Bye, Nikki. Good luck with your client, with your web client. Hopefully that turns out well.
Yes, you got all the tools now, I hope.
Let's see, and I'm gonna, while you're at that, I'm gonna keep these, but I will be talking to you.
Yeah, so I might just, someone said looks like a popsicle. I kind of agree. A really happy popsicle. I'm wondering if I can extend that a little bit. So then I'm gonna align it with my grid. So then it kind of sits on there and it doesn't just float around in space.
See, Kari, you're gonna have to learn InDesign now. Yes.
Oh, please do. Join the club.
You have a great,
I love it
here.
Oh my gosh, guys. Yeah, we're not even gonna get into all the goodies. But yeah, so cool. Daphne, what do you think of this in the chat? Are you happy with this design? Because then I can move on to an initial draft for the artist page. On the back, I was just thinking really simply, picking up that theme again. With the pattern. So Lina, do you have a bit of pattern that I could use that you're using on the tissue? Otherwise, I will go with our original pattern for now.
You can definitely, I'm gonna add this to our library, and if you see it fits, you can.
Yes, Stephanie's happy, so that is a good thing. That is a very good thing. Okay.
So how wonderful is this that we're just sharing a pattern in a click? It's already in there. I added it into our library. Let me just put it in the right place.
Okay, I'm gonna actually, no, I'm gonna grab it from Illustrator so I can manipulate the colors. That's kind of our original.
Yay!
Just kind of want to give it, like, it's quite cool because it has that like modern looking artwork feel, you know, like when you, like, somewhere between Bauhaus and Matisse. Let's see, can we do, okay, I think these colors need updating. Yeah, that, oh, I think we updated the colors since we made that pattern.
Oh, because yeah, but that one is in the library update.
Yeah, so I'm just grabbing colors now. It's quite cool because you can just click on the right one and voila. Maybe these go black. Let's see, let's go bold. Black does make it more grown up, I guess. What do we think of the black. I quite like it actually. Obviously this isn't quite oh, someone's asking where I'm originally from. Yeah, my accent is really deceiving. I sound like I'm from everywhere. I'm from Switzerland. I'm from Zurich. So yeah, so there's maybe a bit of that Swissness like in design built into me. I grew up around it. I didn't even know it was Swiss design until I studied abroad. Now it looks like a popsicle. Let's not do that. Okay. I get away with it when you're on the side.
Joyce, when did you move to England? Where you?
I moved to England to study design.
Oh, okay.
So that was 2012. Yeah, so it's been a while. It's been a while, but it's been great. Like I loved studying at my university. That was so good. I loved the course that I was on. So yeah, I'm really glad I did it. And it's been really interesting. I'm studying design in a different country to your own, because you don't realize how much design culture you pick up in your own country until you learn design in a different country. So that's been really eye-opening.
Yeah, I bet that's really cool. And why did you decide to go there?
So I was looking for a university that had more of a playful feel, or like, well, that's not maybe the right way. I wanted so the universities I was familiar with, art universities, were very they had a specific style, so a house style. So most people will kind of come out with a certain look, and I didn't really want that. That was literally it. I wanted to be immersed in like an environment where there's lots of different schools of thought, and they did really train us to like develop our own style and aesthetic, and I'm really grateful they did. So I just added some texture. This might in production, I'm just coming back to this question, in production that will maybe not be on there, the texture, because the paper itself would have that texture and then the print will look that way, but just to like give us a bit as of a sense, this is it. But yeah, so I ended up at that university. I applied without even visiting and got in. It was a wild story, the whole thing. And I didn't even have an English test that to prove that I could speak English and all of that. It was really funny. Yep. So, oh my goodness. Now I can. No, but yeah, so and it's been great, and I've kind of put my roots down here. I love the local scene here in Norwich, like creatively. I actually worked on a project that was, where did we put you? All around, based around, at least it was like a travel guide, but featuring only like local artisan shops and makers. It's called Shush Guide, and that was such a cool project to work on. So one of my dream projects definitely like to work on a travel guide or something like that. And I was able to do that with them, and it was super fun. Just kind of celebrating the local like craft and like people, you know, running their own little businesses and stuff. So yeah, that's Norwich. There's so much like hidden creativity around here, which I love. How do you find living in LA? Does that influence your design?
Yeah, I mean, I'm originally from Costa Rica, which is a tiny country in Central America. So there's not much design and art all around. It's tiny. We were 4 million people. I mean, maybe now it's 5, but there's not much.
Nice.
And so, and now and then I moved to a place where everything's going on.
Yes, of course. Oh my goodness.
Guess it's like, yeah, it's a place that I can't say like, oh, the LA aesthetic. Well, yes, there's like the California aesthetic and everything, but there's also so many other influences here that it has definitely shaped the way that that I do things. And also, I mean, the way that like the kinds of clients that I work with and everything. So yeah, that has definitely shaped me. from being in Costa Rica. But
That's amazing. Oh, I love your aesthetic. It's very like fun and joyful and full of life. So
which
I
I guess in a way that's what I carry from Costa Rica. Like
yeah.
it's a very happy country, I think. And
I love that.
at
That's such a nice thing to say about culture.
at some point we were the world's happiest country. And
Ooh, I need to go there. Get some of that.
say that.
Hey, Lina, what do you think of the word mark sitting in the pattern? Or should I just like have the pattern on its own in the back?
Let me see it big, because okay, the word mark sitting on the pattern, or what's the
Or none. Or I had this, I tried to like, but it didn't quite sit right. So that didn't work for me.
I kind of like it with nothing.
Yeah. Do you think we get away with that?
We already got away with the other one that didn't.
Yeah, I was about to say, we kind of need it somewhere. I mean, well, we came up with the brand guidelines, right? So are we allowed to use this particular logo here in another brand color?
That's what I was gonna tell you. I think that if you use the original, the word mark, how you had it sitting on that, but maybe put it white instead of black, maybe that would
behind it.
So how you first showed me, just sitting on the shape, but have the color of it just be this white.
That's the older one, but I just can't change the color on the other one unless you want to share that with me, pretty please.
Yes, but I actually meant the other, the one that was just the word mark. I think that's.
Oh, okay.
So how you had it?
Oh, on the back.
On the back. Yeah, sorry.
I see.
Sorry, just
give that a bit of love. Right,
really quick and see how that looks.
Ooh, who are your favorite designers?
My favorite designers. I have so many, but like historically or like right now?
Yeah, let's go. Let's start there.
I really like, I guess like I just admire her as like a person, Paula Chair. I never know.
Oh yeah.
In proper, like that's like one person I'm like, oh, can I just be her? Like the way, and especially at that time where there weren't many women in design, like just like I really admire her. Right now these are, God, I don't know. There's a bunch of people that I follow on Instagram and studios that I admire a lot, but I have a very bad memory, so I don't grab and tell you.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Who are your favorite designers?
Same thing. I'm trying to think who really influenced me at the beginning when I got into design. So Paula Scher is awesome. Like you said, like it kind of like women in design definitely was like really validating, I think. I learned a lot from a lady called Abby who runs Wayfair Design Studio. I actually took one of her courses, so I think she really influenced me as a designer when I was starting my business, because she talked a lot about how to run a business, like a design business in terms of process with your clients and stuff. So practically speaking, I definitely like, she influenced me a lot.
Work.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And I like how she brings across ideas in a really minimal way. I definitely resonate with that. When I was at uni, my all-time favorite, and I feel like Louise Philly. You know Louise Philly or Louise Philly? She's from New York. Did this incredible lettering, like really intricate, beautiful. Like it's got this vintage Italian look. It is so beautiful. So
Oh, who she is.
done some really famous work, in
Yes.
New York. So
That's my other thing. I don't know names. I'm so
oh yeah, totally.
I see work. Yeah, but I know her work.
I think so. She was really awesome. And then I'm trying to think of other like I think there's such a like a big influence of different designers. Like it's one big melting pot, I guess. But obviously Swiss designers have really influenced me for sure. The whole lot. Just because of how I grew up. I didn't even realize they did, if that makes sense, until I came to England and I did some designs for uni, and people asked me like, oh my gosh, that's really Swiss. You know, are you influenced by that? I was like, oh, I guess it is. I didn't realize. But I think that's the cool thing about design. It's not even about the name, right? It shapes your consciousness without you even knowing who did it. But yeah, so I think that's quite interesting. Okay, so I'm gonna stop here for this card. What do you think of the white? Does that work better?
Let me see, because I am on my screen finishing up the mock-up. So so I think that the white works better than the black, but I don't know if we should have the logo in like that particular instance of the logo. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to keep it in there for the sake of brand well, just like, you know, pinpointing who it is. Someone just asked if Swiss design was invented in America. No. I was born in a country. I get maybe the terminology, I don't know. I haven't like looked into that part massively, but I'm thinking about Onlychild. Well, actually, now that you say that, I would have to go back and like read up on my books, but it's everywhere in Switzerland from like the 60s onwards. So around the time that it was invented. So I feel like that was if it had like an American influence, it was definitely very connected. I would have to read it up, but I don't think so. We've always done things in grids as soon as Bauhaus like really influenced that as well. That movement. I'm trying to think now. Oh, that made me wonder. I don't want to. I would need to look it up before I have like a definite answer. But who was the designer I was thinking of? Yeah, but when I was researching it for at uni and contextual studies, it definitely didn't. I don't remember any American link, if I'm honest. But I'm sure that that's traveled to different places and then would be embraced by different design communities in their own way, and they will make their own thing of it. Maybe then that's known in America as Swiss design. I don't know. But I can guarantee you all my voting documents, everything that they send me every time, it is like so grid based that you can really see the Swiss is just dripping from it. Like we use it all the time in Switzerland. Like our main train stations are designed that way, everything. So I doubt it's originated from a different country.
From you guys. Guys, and we're coming to an end already. And I told you this was gonna be really fast.
It was.
But I'm so happy that you all joined us today. Again, like don't forget to follow Onlychild Design, Jote.studio, and GBB Home, so that you guys can see how this project actually takes life in a couple weeks. And also, if you know anyone, I mean, you guys are all designers, so this might not be applicable to you, but if you know a business that is that needs help in these crazy times, let them know to apply. The link is on my bio. So yeah, if you know someone that might need help, we could maybe help. And another thing, if you guys have a designer that you would love to see on Here2Help, hit me up, DM me, and maybe we'll have them for the next episode. Who knows?
Exciting.
much again to everyone, and thank you, Joyce. This has been wonderful. I have learned so much from you. And Daphne out there, thank you for being a wonderful client. It has been really smooth working with you. So, thanks everyone. Thank you, Joyce, again.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, guys.